If you're tuning in for the first time, this is my boat. It's a Graham Redford designed and 46 foot long, built in aluminium in Tasmania, Australia, and now I'm based in the Fiji Islands. Thanks for joining us. I'm out sailing finally after all this time, and the really good news is that the hydraulic keel is now fixed. Press of a button, it goes up and down, and that's a long time coming. It's nearly a year and a half, so you can tell I'm pretty happy about that. And the first thing I did was jump on the boat and sail 100 miles to the western side of Fiji to haul the boat out, which is long overdue. The first I want to talk about is the sister ship to Haphazard. It's called Wildcard. The two boats were built together in Tasmania by two brothers. It ended up in Singapore Harbour, and a fellow contacted me and he said that he'd bought it. He got it there. I bought it on without actually seeing the boat. It was during COVID, so we couldn't get there. And he had a delivery skipper take it to Thailand, and apparently the engine blew up and the boat was leaking badly. It didn't sound like a very good trip, but anyway, they made it, and what they did was he sent a guy over to have a look underneath the water to try and find where the water was leaking from, because they couldn't see where it was leaking from. And underneath it just looked terrible. It was all, I saw the video, and it was all bits of blistering, and you could see the metal. And the reason why it went like that was because the previous owner had painted the anti-foul with a copper anti-foul, and that's a no-no for aluminium boats. There's a special anti-foul for aluminium boats that doesn't have copper in it, because the two metals can react, and aluminium will be the one that suffers. So he did that. He obviously abandoned the boat in Singapore Harbour. The anodes probably wore off, and that was the result of what happened. But this fellow, he was sending me regular blogs, and I could keep up with what was happening. He went to a full refit. He had a fellow there, welded up all the holes with a TIG. And obviously that would have taken quite a few weeks, and then they painted it all with the best quality paints. He had to replace the engine, and then they found that the mast was no good as well. That had cracks in it, so he decided to go for a different style of rig, a double spreader rig, so they had to change the chain plates, the position of the chain plates. Anyway, the list goes on. I'm sure he spent lots of money. He said he spent 100,000 euros, and last time I contacted him, he said he just got fed up with it and just abandoned the whole thing. He gave the boat away, and the fellow that got the boat apparently has stripped it, has stripped everything off it, and the boat's just sitting there in Thailand. It could be Phuket, I'm not sure. So let's hope somebody comes along and picks that boat up and returns it to its former glory. And that's what I want to talk about is I'm thankful. And I'm thankful for the last two previous owners of Haphazard because they looked after the boat properly. The last owner, he spent a lot of money on this boat. You can see you know, straight away there's a new engine and sail drive, new mainsail, anchor winch, anchor chain, rewiring the boat, all new electronics, and you can tell that he actively was very interested in the boat because he spent so much money on it, and that's a good thing. And it's also good for me because I've got all those parts on the boat. They're all new and in good condition. So I want to keep this boat good. And so as soon as I could, I took it to the western side and took it out of the water, and I was going to take all the anti-fouling off and putting epoxy coating on. Put several layers of epoxy coating to protect the bottom. It's something that's a long-term type prevention. And every boat should have proper waterproofing under the waterline. So silly me thinking that I could sand it off with some wet and dry sandpaper. After 2 hours of doing that, I'd probably only done a square metre. So I got I hired some guys to come in, and they used scrapers and they scraped it off, and that's how you do it apparently. They're all laughing at me when I was doing it with the sandpaper. So they got all that done, and then I did the painting myself. I put a couple of layers of 2-pack epoxy, and then the couple of layers of anti-foul. So I did that. And I also replaced the seacocks because they're all had it, they're all falling apart. They're all new now, and I had a fellow come in to do the welding in the bow section. That's where one of the stringers was dented in from some sort of collision, and now it's been strengthened up that whole area. It should be good. New sailing dinghy for the Suvas. You know, boats are a lot more work than cars or houses. The maintenance on boats is never ending. Things break constantly or need upgrading. Sun damages them. It sounds like I'm going to put you off boating, but it's not. It's just part of it. And it's part of it, and that's what you have to do to keep everything going and keeping everything in good condition. Because this boat's nearly 30 years old, and I'm not sure how long I'll own it, but I want to keep it good during that time. So yeah, and now I'm sailing back, and it's just really perfect conditions. I've got a beam on wind. It's probably about 12 knots, and the boat's sailing along at 8 at least. It's just, it's going to be a beautiful sail back to Suva. I'll probably arrive there at midnight tonight. This was up around the 10s and 11s not long ago. Because I got a little bit overpowered. I had to chuck a reef in, both the head sail and the mainsail down to the second reef. But still doing a good speed. With new anti-foul, Haphazard was sailing fast. After dark, the wind picked up and the log didn't go under 9 knots for more than 3 hours, sitting in the 10s and the 11s, and it was a moonlit night. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, happy sailing.